Hello, and thank you for joining me for Tune In Tuesday. Every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, I like to come to you with a class. Now, this class is free to watch. However, if you would like the class kit that will allow you to create 2 of each of the projects that I show you, then simply place an order of $40 or more in my online store. You can find the link for that in the description of this video. If your order is $50 or more, don't forget that during Sale-a-bration, you will qualify for a Sale-a-bration selection. Now, this class kit is only available for orders placed through Sunday, January 14th. Tonight, it's all about fun folds. Let's have some fun. This first card is a simple pocket fold, and it's really quite easy to do. You can choose to put some basic white on the back of this if the color of the base is too dark to write on, or you can just leave it as is. You can also use this to tuck in a gift card behind here, so it's an extra special surprise when they remove that. You could also choose to make this base a card that opens up. So then it would be lots of stuff going on. Let's see how to make it. I'm going to start with a piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We have a piece of basic white that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And a piece of designer series paper that measures 3 3/4 by 5, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. This paper comes from the Flight and Airy designer series paper. That is a Sale-a-bration selection. And you can see it's the reverse of this side. So there's all sorts of pretty bird patterns on here and just some beautiful, beautiful colors. Not pictured is a sheet of the paper that has the birds on it, because I've cut most of that up. But let me see if I have, so I have a portion of it. It's the back of this one, where there's a bunch of individual birds that you can cut up like I'm going to do on this card today. So let's first start by adhering our designer series paper to our card layer. Not the base itself, but the layer. So in this case, the basic white layer. When choosing your designer series paper, you want to choose one. Oh, this is the wrong measurement. I did not cut it down. Let's see. I'm gonna have to wipe off some of this glue here so it doesn't get stuck to my paper trimmer. Thought I had cut it down properly, but apparently I did not. So let's go ahead and, I don't know which side I wiped off the glue. Well, we need it to be 5 1/8. Oh yes, there we go. That's better. Just a very, very thin border. But when you're choosing a designer series paper for this card, you want to choose one that is portrait. So I can see my vines are sort of running up this way. Although you could argue that this is fairly non-directional. Then you're going to adhere that to the base. Adhere this to my base. There we go. Now we'll take the square piece of designer, oh, it's not square, it's 3 by 3 1/2 inch piece, This is also from the Flight and Airy. Now, typically you want to choose one that is non-directional. However, the birds on here kind of go in a couple of different ways. So I'm going to be able to make this work. If I go, let's see, I'm going to cut it. If I cut it on this diagonal, oh, I have to cut it on this diagonal right here. Okay, so I'm just putting the points in the ditch of my paper trimmer and trimming. I want this longer edge to be running down this side, the left-hand side, and the shorter edge is going to be going along the right hand or the bottom. I will adhere. By the way, this is just a precision glue tip. I don't need a lot of glue. So it's green glue that's in there. It's this Tombow Monty Multi that's in there. And you only want to put it along the two sides that form a right angle. Because if you put it on all three, then you will not have a pocket. So I think you can see I've lined up the edge of this designer series paper with the left edge of the other designer series paper, and the bottoms line up as well. I'm going to set that aside. Now what we need to do is, by the way, if you had made this a card, you could layer another piece. Let's pretend this opens up. You could layer this piece on the inside or on another piece of white and have a pretty inside of the card as well. Let's go ahead and decorate the front of this. I'm going to take, I think I'm going to use this bird right here, and I'm simply going to fussy cut him out. There are no dies for fussy cutting these birds. The birds have different shapes to them, but they are mostly very smooth cuts, with the exception of the feet. And quite honestly, not all of them have feet, and the ones that do have feet, if you didn't want a fussy cut around them, you cut the feet off. You can always draw them back in on your paper with a Stampin' Right marker using the bullet end. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of basic white, and I'm going to bring in the layering leaves set. I'm going to grab one of the leaves and my Lost Lagoon, looking for a different block, but I don't know where it is right now. I'm going to bring my Lost Lagoon ink in. So this is a card that you can create with anything you've got on hand. And I'm not going to worry about catching that edge a little bit because I'm punching it out. The bow punch coordinates with this set. They were not made at the same time, but they fit together so lovely. There we go. I'm going to bring this in. Again, I'm going to glue down my leaves. I just need a little bit on each leaf. I don't even really need it on each leaf. I'm going to put that right down there. And I'm going to plop my bird right here sitting on that. Because he's going in the pocket, I am going to glue him down. I'm not going to put him down with a dimensional. There we go. And all we need to do is add a little sentiment here. I'm going to bring in the For You, also from the Layering Leaves stamp set. Get out my Lost Lagoon ink again. I just love how the colors of the cardstock and the designer series paper and the inks all go together. There we go. Now let's go ahead and adhere this to the Calypso Coral cardstock layer. All right, now I'm gonna bring in some gems here, and let's see which gems I want to use. Here we go. I'm going to use these iridescent rhinestone basics. Let's go ahead and get my take your pick tool out, and let's see. I'm going to use some of the smaller ones, I think. I'll use this one down here. And then this one up here. And then another small one way up here. So I have my little triangle going on. And there we go. We have our pocket card. And this is light enough so I could write on the back, or if you were making it and sending it right away, you could put another piece on here before you add the gems, because it does add a little bit, a little bit of some bumpiness when you're writing. But because it's 2 cardstocks thick, you should be fine to be able to write a note just on that. And that is card number 1. The second card is an easel card, and we're going to begin with a piece of Sweet Sorbet that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Again, this is not a regular card base. It is just a single sheet of card. We're going to bring in a piece of basic white that measures 4 by 5 1/4. You will need a piece of designer series paper that is Portrait in Nature, that measures 2 15/16, which is just 1 tick mark to the left of the 3-inch mark, by 3 7/8. And again, you want it running up and down, even though our card is going to be going horizontally. And you will need a piece of colored cardstock. I made it match. I think it's best if it either is the matching to the base here or white. It could also be white, but I've got enough other white pieces. You need a piece of designer series paper that's a different pattern. So this first pattern should be a strong pattern. It's got lots of color and interest to it. This other one should be somewhat plain. We're going to be covering up a lot of it anyway. You will need a piece of basic white that measures 2 by 4 1/4, and another one that measures 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. You'll also need some ribbon and maybe some other DSP to embellish. All right, let's see what we got here. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to set most of this aside. We're going to adhere the strong DSP to the white. So it's the larger of the 2 designer series papers. Let's see if I wasn't using this earlier because I needed to unclog it. Yeah, I still need to unclog it. Need to go in with a little, oh, wait, maybe I've got it coming. Oh, there we go. That's the only problem if you start squeezing. So here's what you can do if that happens. Take a little piece of scrap cardstock and you'll just spread it out here. And then this little scrap piece can kind of go in the trash. And just adhere this. And you're going to adhere it to the right side of the basic white layer. And you want to make it so that the margins on the top, right, and bottom are all about the same. I'm just going to clear off the tip of that. All right, another thing that you will want to do is take your other Sweet Sorbet cardstock piece and your other designer series paper and glue them together or adhere them together, whatever adhesive you choose. And these are the same size. And the reason why I am backing this designer series paper is it's not going to really be strong enough. I want something that's fairly sturdy, that's not going to bend when I create the easel. All right. Now this piece right here is going to get adhered to our card base. So let's see. I apologize if you hear my son in the background. He's had a rough day. He has autism, and weather is not one of his things that keeps him calm. He gets quite upset with the weather. And we got about, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches today of snow. And so he's not very happy. All right, so now we're going to come in and we're going to take this piece that measured 2 by 4 1/4. Let me just make sure. Ooh, I'm glad I measured. That was not the right piece. Let's see, there's the 4 1/4 and 2. Okay, 2 by 4 1/4. You're going to put it in your paper trimmer and we're going to not cut it. We're going to score it. So I'm going to put the right hand edge at the 1/2 inch mark and I'm going to score. Then I'm going to slide it over to the 2 3/8 mark. I'm just looking at my directions. 2 3/8. Just 2 marks before the 2 1/2. I'm going to score there as well. So I have 2 score lines in here. And we are going to fold and burnish on them. And we're going to fold them in the same direction. So we have this skinny section, a middle section, and the wider other end section. This wider other end section, you want your folds to be mountain folds so that they're going, you know, the middle and the ends are going down. You're going to apply some adhesive here to this end section. Now, if you used a designer series paper for this strip that had direction, you want to know what's top and what's bottom, because I'm going to adhere this to the bottom. So here's my bottom. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to take this part with the glue now and I'm going to adhere it. And you should see that there's a little bit of a border, and I'm just making the border consistent on the left, the right, and the bottom. Just adhering those 2 pieces together. So this white piece is our easel mechanism. Now I'm going to take this piece right here and I'm going to put adhesive right on that 1/2 inch wide portion. I'm going to kind of hold it shut with my fingers. I'm going to align the bottom. Now there's no glue on the bottom of this, and that's what I don't want glue. I'm going to line this up where it would go if it were to line up along the bottom edge, the same as this designer series paper is. And then I'm just going to let this come down and that white will adhere. Okay, so let me walk you through that again. I'm going to take that little strip. I'm going to put some adhesive on that, whether it's glue or the other kind. And I'm going to kind of fold this under, line up the bottom so it looks nice. Making sure that my borders around here are the same. And remember, it's just adhering up here in this 1/2 inch mark right here where I'm rubbing right now. So now you can see that you have this easel mechanism. All right, we do have to decorate it. We do need an easel stopper too, but we need to decorate first. So we're going to bring in that smaller piece of white, that last piece that we haven't used yet. This measures 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. This is gonna go here, and we're gonna cut a banner from it, which means I'm gonna cut up the middle a little bit, and I'm gonna cut from each point to that place that I just cut. Okay, and so there's my banner. Now let's stamp and decorate this. I am bringing in the Be My Valentine suite to go with the Be My Valentine stamp set to go with the Be Mine suite of products, the designer series paper that is called Be Mine. And oh, I didn't show you that paper, did I? So it's got some bees, some happy little bees in it, which has a red side with daisies on the other side. We've got some more flowers. I don't know if those are kind of tulipy things or not, which has a beautiful stripe on the back, which is sweet sorbet and petal pink. And more bees. And these bees, so these bees are a little bit different. They've got the flowers, not the flowers and the hearts, just the flowers. Well, I guess there's different color hearts in there. And this has a fun honeycomb on the back. We've got these sweet sorbet hearts on petal pink with more bees on the other side. So just a lot of fun little patterns. See, this is the one that we used, which has honey jars on the other side. And then we've got these happy little bees with a beautiful white and yellow plaid. I'm gonna get out this stamp set, and you know, honestly, my favorite stamp in here is the honeycomb. I don't know why. I just love the geometry of it, I guess. I used to be a math teacher, so maybe that has something to do with it. Let's bring in our, so one of the colors that's in here is Daffodil Delight. I could bring in Pool Party if I wanted to. I'm not Pool Party, silly. Lemon Lolly, because that's a nice light yellow. But I'm just gonna bring in a scrap piece of paper. Somebody stamped some wings in black on my ink pad, but no worries. It's not affecting anything. And I'm stamping off just to lighten this a bit. Okay, maybe one more touching up here and down here. Okay. I'm gonna grab my Sweet Sorbet ink pad and pick out a sentiment in here, and this sentiment says, "You'll always be the one for me." We will ink that up in the Sweet Sorbet. Stamp that down on there. That looks a little crooked to me. Let's do this again, I guess. I should probably stand up and stamp over this, but I'm gonna try again. All right, that looks straight to me. Just means that we have to restamp our other pieces here. Let's go ahead and clean my stamp. So I can just use the same block. I love this Be Mine suite. You know, when I first saw it, I thought, no, if I get it, it's just because I know other people like it. But you know, it was a little cutesy for me, but I really do like it. It really is adorable. Okay, there we go, all better. Let's scrap it out of here. And so we're going to adhere that on there. I think I'm going to bring it a little bit down. I forgot this one works, so I'm going to use this one now. I'll adhere this to the front. See, sometimes my glue dries into the tip and it gets stuck because I don't close it all the way. I'm going to grab some of this Sweet Sorbet bordered ribbon, and you need about 10 inches, which I'm going to just eyeball. And I'm going to tie a knot up here. So the way I tie a knot, and this ribbon is perfect for these knots. I can tie a beautiful knot with this. I am going to go left over right and then bring that loop through. I'm going to put my finger right there and bring the top loop over and bring the bottom one over the top and through. And then we have a beautiful knot. Look at how lovely that is. It's not wrinkled or crinkled in any way. And it's just, that border really sets off that middle, I think. All right, and so now all we need to do is have this little stopper. And I thought, okay, let's bring that bee builder punch out so you can combine, you know, this is the bee's body, and then you add the stripes and the stinger, and then you can punch that out with the bottom portion of the bee builder punch. And then there are wings, and the wings are shaped like hearts. How perfect for Valentine's Day, but it also means that this punch can do more than just go with the Be My Valentine. So let's go ahead and, let me see, I'm trying to find the right hearts in here. There we go, punch that out. And we can put that right there with a dimensional. One dimensional, I don't need two. Just put this right here at the center, and that will stop your easel, and that way you have this easel back. And there's a quick little card. If you want to write something, you can write something right in here. Or you can add another layer of cardstock over here and write something on the back. The choice is yours. And that's the second card. For our third card, we're going to be bringing in the beautiful lavender paper, Perennial Lavender. And here are just some of the sheets. Let me get this out of the way a little bit. So we've got this beautiful sheet, and on the other side is a crumb cake design. We've got some more beautiful lavender. This is the paper that we're going to be using for this project. It's got a beautiful, just textured, pretty peacock piece on the back. We'll be using this piece a little bit, a small piece from this paper as well. Beautiful textured, gorgeous grape on the back there. And I love this one, and just the colors in here as well. So beautiful paper. It's in the mini catalog currently. We'll also be using the Perennial postage. Am I going to be using this? Yes, I think I am. And the painted lavender set. So these all come as part of the lavender suite, but you can buy them individually as well. We'll begin with a piece of gorgeous grape that measures 4¼ by 5½. And when I did this card for mystery stamping, many of the people were questioning, like, are we ever going to do cards that open, you know, the traditional way? And the answer was, well, this is the base, but we do have a card that opens. And that's because we have this piece of white right here. And so this piece of white measures 5¼ So make sure it does. Yes, 5¼ by 8 inches, not 8½, but 8 inches. We're going to score that in half at 4 inches, and this is what our card is. All right, so we've scored this, and now we can fold it in half with our bone folder, making a nice crease. This is going to go on here, but not yet. So this is a card that opens, but it's not going to open this way. Let's take our piece of designer series paper that was cut to fit on this first piece. So this piece measures 3¾ by 5. We're going to adhere that. Let's do this one. But you're not going to adhere it the way you think you're going to. So this is the way I want to look at it. Here's the top, here's the bottom. I want to make sure that the bottom edge goes along the folded edge of my card. So the card base here, this white card, is upside down, if you will, from what you normally do. So the designer series paper is right side up. Oh, I feel a little glue sneaking out here. Okay, but it opens down. See how different that is? This will get mounted eventually, but we still have one more thing to do. I have a piece of designer series paper from the same suite that I've cut 3¾ by 3¾ I want this one to show on the outside. So whatever designer series paper you choose, it needs to go with this pattern. And the other side needs to sort of coordinate. Not so bad. You're going to see both sides, but it's going to be visible on the inside here. All right, so what I'm going to end up doing is folding this in half. And if you want to get a nice fold, you can use your paper trimmer. And again, put the diagonals into the ditch of the trimmer. Use your scoring blade, don't use your cutting blade. And because I wanted this one on the outside, I'm gonna fold this prettiness together. Okay, so now you see what you have. With the card oriented the way we normally have it, what we'll do is we are going to attach this to the top. Now, you might want to look at your pattern and see how you want the butterflies flying. I think I scored opposite of what no, they'd be upside down. They're okay. I want the butterflies showing right here because these guys are flying in and out. I don't really care that the greenery are going sideways. It's not that important to the card anyway. But we are going to adhere this bottom portion to the back of our white card. So here's our white card, and up on the free end, that's where it's going to be adhered. So here's the free end. I'm going to line up the points with the edge of my card. And they fit pretty close. And then when I close it, you can see this hangs down in the front. Okay. Now let's go ahead and finish this off. We're going to take the part that's glued down. So this is the back of our card, remember? And we're going to adhere this to the base. Okay, let's see. There we go. Just like that. So it looks like an envelope with that flap. All right, I got a little glue down here I'm trying to get off. Guess I got a little heavy-handed. All right, so now we can decorate this front, and I'm just bringing in some scraps, excuse me. And I'm going to bring in my painted lavender, and I'm going to use this little piece. Now, there's two ways to do this next step, and I will, ooh, where'd my stamp go here? All right, I found it. It was hiding out in my postage case, even though those are red rubber, and this is photopolymer. All right, I've decided I'm going to bring in a 2-inch circle punch. Let's see if this fits in here. It does. I'll also bring in my Stampin' Right markers. Now, Stampin' Right markers are different than the blends markers. They are water-based. They come with a bullet tip and a brush tip end. And you can color directly on the stamps with this. You can't with the blends because those are alcohol markers and they dry faster. What I'm going to do is I'm holding this up to the light so I can see. I'm coloring the stems of the flowers with my pretty peacock. And I can see where those stems are when I'm holding it up. And then I'm going to bring in my gorgeous grape brush tip end, and I'll color the blooms. Now, as I'm coloring this, some of the ink is starting to dry a little bit. So I'll show you what to do to re-moisten that ink so that you can get it all to stamp when you're ready. Okay, so it's all colored now. And now I'm just gonna huff on it. So I'm gonna breathe the warm, moist air onto my stamp. And there we go. Two-tone stamped image. Now this piece just barely fits, so I need to see if I can move it into position. That looks pretty good. There we go. Saved a lot of paper on that one. And then I've got my decorative label punch. Decorative circle, I think it's called. Now, the paper I saved before, I just wasted because I wanted to do this out of the gorgeous grape. All right. We're going to mount these two together. And here's where your decision comes as to how you want to adhere these. Okay, so I've got that centered on there. There we go. So I have two choices. I can put this right here, and then what I can use is some dimensionals, and then we'll just be able to tuck this envelope inside. So when I adhere this, I want to do a dimensional here, here, and at the bottom, but not at the top, because I want to be able to tuck that top in. Or you can glue it to the top and have it just kind of open a little bit so people know how to open it. The other thing you could do is you could attach it here and then put a little piece of Velcro, one of those little Velcro dots to close it. So here, let me show you a sample. Here's the one I did with my mystery stamping group. And I used the Velcro, and it's like a little clear Velcro dot, so you can only see it up here, but it attaches down and holds itself. I'm going to do just the opposite on this one. I'm going to go ahead and make it so that the envelope top tucks in here. So we'll just put that right, maybe a little taller, a little higher, right like that. And so you can just tuck this in, and there we go. Let's decorate the front of that. We can pull in some brushed butterflies. I've got those around here somewhere, right here. Another thing you could do, these purple fine shimmer gems also coordinate with this suite. They're part of the suite, so you could use that choice too. I can't use those because that was a prize for my mystery stamping bingo. Let's go ahead and just let's put a little butterfly here. I don't know which way I want him to fly though. We'll put him right there. Maybe we'll put a couple more on. And you can put them all over the front of this card. I'll put one right on the flower. How about that? There we go. So there is the outside of that card. All we have to do is decorate the inside, and that's pretty easy as well. Let's show you how to do that. So here we have the card opens down like this. You can decorate, or you can decorate this part or this part. I think I'm gonna do the bottom. And so I have this piece of colored cardstock that measures 3 3/4 by 5. Hear that down. You could also use designer series paper if you wanted to make the inside a little bit lighter. Okay, so there we go. So here what I used was, I used designer series paper. It's actually the back side of this pattern right here. But I didn't want to use more of that, so here's where we go. And I think I probably cut up the piece of white that goes inside, thinking it was what I was supposed to be cutting on. So I will recut another piece, and the layered piece that goes in there is 3 by 4 inches. Nope, 3 by 4 1/4. So 3 by 4 1/4. I'm going to stamp that. I'm going to bring out my stamps again. And I like this little piece right down here, and this with the lavender. So I need this little one, and I need this larger one. I need to clean this one. Put this away in the right stamp box this time. All right, we'll mount these. I'm going to bring in my pretty peacock and some scrap paper. I'm gonna stamp a little lower than I stamped in the previous ones, I think. Give myself more room to write my name when I sign it. Then this other piece, I'm going to add the pretty grape, gorgeous grape flowers. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell, but I'm putting these pretty little purple flowers right in here. All right, you see that? And then we just need a sentiment inside, because I don't have a sentiment on my card at all yet, because I have an image on the outside and I need something on the inside. So let's go ahead and do I Can't Thank You Enough. I think we can do that one. If I can find it upside down. There we go. It's right here. Oh, I need a bigger block. Need a bigger block. It's got a purple tint because when I was mounting it, before I mounted the rubber and cling onto the sticker, I tried to stamp the sticker into Gorgeous Grape. Not my finest moment, but that's what I did. I can't thank you enough. I love the font on this stamp set. Love it, love it, love it. And for those who haven't seen it in the mini catalog yet, this stamp set is paired with a set of dies that are wonderful. They are rectangular postage stamp style dies. All right, let's put these, I haven't stuck these all down yet to their stickers, so some of them are mounted and some are not. And we'll just adhere this to the inside of the card. And to close it, one flap, and we'll just tuck that right like that. And that is our third card. For this last card, we're bringing in a card base of Calypso Coral. And finish that. Now this is going to be a corner fold card. So with the corner fold card, we are going to, well, first we need a pencil and a ruler. I'm going to measure down the right-hand side, so where it opens up here. I'm going to measure down 2 inches. I'm going to put this in my paper trimmer, and I want to score, not cut, score, because I'm folding it. I want to put that mark in the ditch, and I want to put the point up at the top with the fold in the ditch. And then I'm going to score that. And now you can see I get this little corner fold. Now we need some pieces to go in it. So we have a piece of, let's see, I have a piece of basic white. This will go in here. And then I have this piece of the softly stippled designer series paper. This is a Sale-a-bration selection. And I'm going to bring that in. And I think this is just such a pretty paper. It also comes in, let me show you. So we're going to be using one of these roses too that comes in Pebbled Path, but we're going to color that in with blends. But you can see that there's also this pretty Calypso Coral rose pattern with just a plain kind of fabric-y kind of pattern on the back. We'll be using that as well. Let's see, what other ones do we have? We also, not only do we have it in these colors that I'm using, it's in a Lost Lagoon and Wild Wheat as well. That's pretty too. We've got wild wheat flowers. We've got some Pool Party, looks like Pool Party on the back side, and some wild wheat. So just really pretty paper. It does coordinate with the softly stippled stamp set, but I'm not using that. All right, so what we want to do here is we need to go ahead and we need to cut this down a little bit. So remember how we came down 2 inches? If I were to layer this on here, and we can't layer it because it's already folded, I need to cut off some of this bulk. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cheat this up to the top a little bit, and just trust me, it'll work out if you do it this way. So instead of having a 1/8 inch border, cut that in half to make it a 1/16 inch border. So it's really wide at the bottom, but half as wide at the top as it is on the 2 sides. What I'm going to do is going to come down here and I'm going to mark this at a little bit less than where this mark is. So I can see that the mark is here. I'm going to just a little bit less, maybe like a 1/16 of an inch less. And I'm going to come in a 1/16 of an inch from the edge here as well. And we're going to this time cut from those marks. So I'm going to put this little mark, which is not quite at the corner, but almost in the ditch. And I'm going to put the other mark in the ditch. Now my cutting blade is down here on the wider side, and that's better because if you try to cut from a point, you're probably just going to mush the point and make it kind of sloppy. Okay, so here we have this, and we can of course erase any pencil marks that you have. That one's not going to show up there, but so now when I come to put this here, you can see that the fold is nice, right? Success. Okay. There we go. And then what we want to do is the same thing for this designer series paper. I want to repeat that process all over again. So I'm going to cheat this up a little bit, make it twice as wide on the bottom as it is on the side. I'm going to make a little mark right up here. This may be hard to see. You might have to switch to a pen. And I'm going to cheat in a little bit over here as well. And repeat the process. Put my marks in the ditch. Go from the wide side to the other side. All right. Let's see here now. So now when we put this on here, we're going to have something that looks like this. Voila. Lovely, right? So we can go ahead and glue these together. So I've tried to keep my clothes out of the picture for this. And that's because I am stamping in my PJs today. We had a snow day in southern Maine, and I held a mystery stamping event, and I told everybody to come in their PJs, so I had to come in mine as well. I did take a shower this morning, so I did cheat a little bit. It's not like I didn't get dressed. I mean, I did get dressed. I got undressed, took a shower, and then I got redressed. And now we can adhere this in here. I think this Calypso color is so pretty. So pretty. There we go. We have just like that. Now you can keep this like this. What I'm going to show you is that we have a piece of, I think this is 4 by 5 1/4. Nope, it's a little bit shorter than that. So I'll have to cut one that is 4 by 5 1/4. I can do that very quickly. This is going to be what's on the inside. And I'm going to stamp that a little bit later, so I'm not going to adhere it now. But so I just needed a little embellishment here. Notice this little piece right here. When I flip it over, I've got this, there is a design there, so that's not really bad. I kind of like that. I could keep that. But I could do something else as well. I could take a piece of this paper. Remember, I saw this, I showed this to you a little bit ago. And this measures 1 5/8 by 3 5/8. If I cut that on the diagonal, 1 5/8 by 3 5/8. I was very careful when I did that not to mush the corners, but sometimes I start in the middle of the cut and then just go back and forth so I don't mush my corners. And so now if I turn this over, you see I have this part. Now this is a little bit, smaller than this piece right here. Because this one is so light, I could use that to back and not have to worry about cutting a white piece. I think I might even do that. Save some paper here. So see how it mimics the white that's around there? Now what happens if what happens if this were some crazy color that I didn't like maybe that wild wheat color? I don't think I would like that up there with those other three. I might, but I doubt it. Wild wheat's not really my favorite in general. I don't mind it with this combination, but I think the solid colors, I don't think I'd be all that impressed with. But if I look at this piece that I've cut off here, it looks like it measures 1 and, well, it's 3 tick marks before the 2. So 1 13/16 by, put that at the end, by 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 by 1 13/16. Okay. If I cut a piece of regular, let's see, that's not wide enough. If I cut a piece of basic white that was 1 13/16, so 1 13/16. Oh, this one's not wide enough either. Hold on. That's my inside of the card. All right, I gotta get a piece of paper that I'm not supposed to be using anywhere else. Let me see if I can find a scrap here. All right, close enough. So 1 13/16 by 3 3/4. And now if I cut this on the diagonal, And because this is a little bit heavier weight, I'm going to start it in the middle, like I was talking about before. And so now I have these two triangles, and let's see how they fit. Let's see how they fit this piece right here. And voila, look at that. Just what we were looking for. I'm going to adhere these two together. This is just a teeny tiny bit smaller than that white piece. And I'm going to adhere that right down there as well to my little flap. Now, I've seen some other demonstrators do this card, and they don't do those measurements that I just did. So that piece that I had cut off, they were kind of trying to finagle it some other way, but we had a piece that we knew was the right size. If you just measured 2 of the measurements, not that diagonal, then you know what rectangle to start with, and you can cut it in half. All right, so let's go ahead. Well, we'll wait to stamp that. I'm going to bring in this flower from this sheet of paper here. And now I could color with these. I prefer to color ornate stuff with my blends because I've got then a light and a dark here. And these aren't real big, so I'm going to go ahead and just color with the bullet tip end using my Calypso Coral. And what's great is that the artists at Stampin' Up! Have done the shading for me with that stippling in there. I'm not even going to bring in my dark Calypso Coral because that's actually pretty dark. So I'm going to let this set for just a second. I'll color this flower in as well. This is just a bud more than anything. Hasn't opened up yet. And I can see I missed the edge here. And if I want to add a little bit more definition, oh, it looks like there's a bud over here too, and here. Just going to do parts of it there. And if I want to go back and give it a little bit more depth and shading, I'm just going to color over those marks that the Stampin' Up! Artist put in there. Puts that little shading in there. Makes it look a little bit more dimensional. All right, now I don't have wild wheat blends. And that's because I think the wild wheat blends are, I think wild wheat is one of those colors I'm not going to use a ton. But I do have to color it. I don't even have the in color Stampin' Right markers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a blender pen. Come in packages of 3. I squeeze my ink pad together. That puts some ink up here, and I'm going to get some on my blender pen, and then I'll just color with it. It takes a little bit longer because you have to keep going back and getting more color. But what are you going to do if you don't like the color and you don't want to buy it? Now, I say I don't like the color. I do like it in this paper. So it has to be paired with just the right things. But there's somebody I work with. he purchased some furniture for one of the rooms in our facility, and it's a little bit more mustardy than this color, but it still reminds me of baby poop, which is what this color reminds me of. So I'm sorry if you love it. It's not my favorite. I'm gonna make the best of it right here. Oh, you know what? I think that's to clean your blender pens, you're just gonna rub it on scrap until it goes clear. There we go. I think this is a leaf here, so we want to put some color in there. All right, put a little bit more down here. Okay, now we need to cut this out. So if you have these stippled roses, you can stamp and die cut and make your own little embellishment here, but I don't, so this is what I have to do. And this paper, fortunately, has this. Now, if you look at some of the other paper that's in our, maybe the Sale-a-bration catalog, like the Bee Suite, you could stamp a bee maybe and have some of the bee paper in here. You could, let's see, what's the one? Oh, the birds. The Flight and Airy would look beautiful with this. You could cut out the bird. Now, because I'd already done a card using Flight and Airy, I wanted to show a different designer series paper. So that's why I'm using this one. Fussy cutting's not hard. Just does take a little bit of time. But the rest of this card doesn't really take a ton of time. So I consider it a trade-off. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that right there. Now, there is this white little area right in here that does sort of stick out a bit. So you could just color it in green and call it good. Or you could just leave it the way it is. That's fine too. It doesn't really affect anything. I probably could have used a larger flower. I'm not sure. I think right there looks good. All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put this here, but I'm going to put it on dimensionals, but I need a sentiment too. Let's see. Yeah. I need a sentiment as well. So let's find a sentiment to put on here. All right. I have another one of the products from the mini catalog, and that's the Thoughtful Expressions bundle. Let me clean this up a little bit here. And, oh, you know what? I had a flower I could have used from here. Ooh. Well, it's probably a little bit too late. So, and the flowers are a little bit different than what are on there. So I'm good, but, you know, I could have done that. But look at all these beautiful shapes that come in here. So I used this on a card at my Sale-a-bration open house. Love them. How about You're in My Thoughts Today? I think that fits right in here. It does. We're going to take a piece of basic white and we will stamp this. In what color? I think let's do the Calypso Coral. You ever kind of get out of the habit of using a color, and then when you use it, you think, oh, how come I don't use that more? That's Calypso Coral for me, I think. I don't know why, but I do love it. It's kind of a happy color. It's not too in your face. So let's go ahead and line that up. And we'll die cut it. I'll be right back. Okay, and here we have this. So we'll put our sentiment right there with my roses above it. Yep, that will look just perfect. And I think what I can do is I can adhere just the corner of this rose to the corner here. There's a method to my madness. Oops. I want to keep it out here. Okay. And then I'm going to go on the back and add some dimensionals. Now it's important to know what sticks over and what does not. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have part of this right here, and then the rest of this will get, and I can put one there and here and here. Let's see if that will work. So we put that like that, we open it, we can't see it from the back. Perfect. Just want to play with it to make sure that you're not going to see those dimensionals from the back. So place it down lightly, if you will. And yeah, I don't see any on the back. And this is holding. Now you could have glued this down, and maybe I will put a little bit of glue in here just to reinforce it. But this dimensional that's over here is going to help keep that down as well. If I were to bring in some of this baker's twine, this color goes pretty nicely with the pebbled path. So I could just add some by adding a little bow here. Okay. Trim the ends, and we could add this underneath a little bit. Sometimes it's fun to hide the bow, hide part of the bow anyways. And sometimes you're better off not doing that. And I can't get my bow to cooperate with my fingers right now. So let's see if I can lift this up a little bit. And we'll put the bow underneath. I don't know why that bow doesn't want to cooperate right now. There we go. Probably need a little glue dot underneath there. Probably be better to put one there. And so, yeah, we need that there. We need a glue dot so that it doesn't do what it's doing right now. So I'm gonna just, this is a leftover glue dot from a mini paper pumpkin, and I can't seem to get the top off without getting the rest off. There we go. Just gonna roll up that glue dot a little bit and put that right under here and stick my bow to it. There we go. Now it's not gonna flop. There we go. What we need to do is come inside here. So you're in my thoughts today. That could be any number of occasions. perhaps that person is having some tests done, or perhaps this is a sympathy card, or maybe it's somebody's birthday, and so you are thinking of them. See, are there any other expressions in this particular stamp set? Where in the world would I be without you? Let's do enjoy your day. So you're in my thoughts today. Enjoy your day. Let's go ahead and put that in there. Get my Calypso Coral out again. Oh yeah, I forgot. I need to call about this stamp set because for some reason it had some black marks running across that white foam, or gray foam, I should say. So here is our card, finished card. And that is 4 fun folds for you to kick off the first Tune In Tuesday of 2024. So here's the card, but remember this other half of this rectangle? You could, because this pattern happens to work in this particular case, you could put that right there. And so then you have something that looks like this, which is kind of cool as well. I really like that. I like that. You could put this down here. You could make a whole separate card with it. I'm not sure which one I like best. I really kind of do like that one. I think I'm gonna do that one. No, I'm just gonna keep it as the fold. Yeah, no, I am. So just so you know, it is optional, but sometimes it'll work out for you. Depends what the other side of the card is. Let me just check and make sure we've got this aligned properly. That's why green glue is best for this particular option. There we go. Just like that. There we go. I am so glad you were able to join me tonight. I hope you have found these fun folds to be fun and something that you want to give a try. Remember, if you would like the class kit so that you can create 2 of each of tonight's cards, simply place an order of $40 or more in my online store. The link is in the description of this video. If your order is $50 or more, because we're in Sale-a-bration, you'll also get to choose a Sale-a-bration item for free. Now, I will ship the class kits out for free, but they must be ordered. Your order must be placed by Sunday, January 14th at 7 p.m. Thank you. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Can you imagine at the end of this week, we'll be about halfway through January already. 2024 is flying by. Stay warm, stay safe, and I will see you again for Tune In Tuesday in 2 weeks.